Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you how to read and interpret Miyuki Beading Kit instructions. They come in a variety of designs. Their difficulty level is on the front of the package, ranging from 1 to 5 stars. 1 star is going to be the easiest, 5 is going to be the most difficult. Here I have the Neptune choker, and it's a 3-star, so it is a medium level, medium to hard. So to open it up, you're just going to peel the back, and you'll see that all the ingredients are in the kit. So everything you need supply-wise to make this project is going to be in here. Pull out the whole package, everything you need. Go ahead and put the actual packaging aside. So I've got the picture. I'm going to put that in front of me so I can follow it. I've got my instructions, and I've got all my ingredients as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all my little components out of their package, just so I have them ready to use. So after I've opened up my kit, all my ingredients are laid out. I also have my tools. Right here on the front page, it's going to tell you which tools you need before you begin. So for tools, I have a round nose pliers, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of scissors, and a flush cutters. It'll tell you right here what tools you need. I just always like to have the standard set pretty handy in case it comes up that I'm going to need them. When you open up your instructions, what you're going to see is you're going to see numbers like 5, 2, and so forth. You want to find number 1 because that's going to be where you start. And number 1 is over here. There's actually a key as well to your ingredients. So before you begin, familiarize yourself with what little graphic has been assigned to each of your various beads. So here I've got my triangle bead in dark blue. I can see it's going to be this dark blue little square. My seed bead here in silver is going to be that graphic. My triangle bead in blue is going to be right here. My triangle bead in blue beige is going to be right here. They're probably not going to stay on here. You can line them up like this, but you might be moving your paper around. But just start by knowing, what they're going to look like on the visual graphics, because that's going to help you a lot. So also on these instructions, it's going to have a measurement conversion chart. This is going to come in real handy when you're measuring long lengths of cord or thread. So it tells you like 1 meter equals 40 inches, 50 centimeters equals 20 inches. But even handier is right down at the bottom of your instructions, you're going to have a little ruler, and it's in centimeters. So when I look at my first instruction, it tells me to use 40 centimeters of nylon string to make this component, which is the component A. And there's a little picture of it right there. So I would know that I need to measure 40 centimeters. And even though this ruler doesn't go up to 40 centimeters, I can just go to 20, hold my place, and do 20 again. Take my scissors, or I just can use my flush cutters as well, and cut my 40 centimeters. So that's ready to begin. So a couple tips to reading the Miyuki instructions. Always keep your tension tight on your string or thread. You don't want your beads to be too loose. And then look at the directional arrows. Right here on the graphic, you'll see these little arrows going in different directions, and that is going to be the direction you're going to follow for your beadwork. So if I could show you, I'll just point to it here. It's a little narrower than my finger. We're going to go up here, and with this string, it's going to come around here because you see how that arrow is pointing. It's going to come up here, loop around, just keep following the arrow. And that's going to be imperative that you follow those arrows in this beadwork. Also, the starting point is clearly marked. It says the center of your nylon string. So what that tells me, I'm going to bring over a little piece of black right here so that you can see this string. If it's going to start in the center of my string, I'm going to line up my 2 ends. I know I'm going to now be working with 2 ends of string. I don't have a knot and just 1 end of string. I'm starting in the middle. So it's going to be like a double needle method of bead weaving. So that's important to keep in mind too. And since you're going to be going on both directions, I'm just going to show you this first little one real quick, just so you can get a hang of it. So I see that that little open work circle corresponds to my silver seed bead. I would just place it onto my nylon string. I would pull it all the way to the bottom. And then I see that my directional arrows are going in both directions, so I know I'm going to be using both ends of my string to put another silver bead on. And then what happens is, I'm going to pull these down to the bottom. Let me bring the black back so you can see this a little bit better. I've got those down at the bottom. And then it shows that I've got this new bead, which I know corresponds to my dark blue triangle bead. And look what happens, the threads cross. So that means the threads cross on the inside of the bead. And whenever your threads cross, they need to go in opposite directions. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, and I don't want my thread to come through in the same direction. I want my thread to go in the opposite direction. So you'll see right here, the threads actually crossed in the middle. I'm going to pull them both through. Now if your thread's really coily like this, your string, you can steam nylon thread. Just be careful not to burn it, but that will take the kinks out. So I've pulled that down to the base. And at this point, when you're just beginning a project like this, double check that it's actually in the middle. And that's in the middle. If it was askew, like let's say you pulled it to the middle, when you went to check your threads, one was way off, all you need to do, match your threads up, the tail ends, and pull your beadwork down to the middle. You can do this in the beginning of your project, and that's the only time you're going to be able to do that. So check before you begin. Key is, make sure you follow those instructional arrows, crisscross your threads, keep track of which way you're going with each thread. Make sure you keep referring back to your key to make sure you're using the right beads as you go. And then when you get to a point like this in the instruction where you see that little dotted mark, that's actually telling us like a little shadow of a bead, and that bead actually exists over here, one of the first beads you strung. So that's telling me that I'm actually going to take this and fold in half, because we know we're making like a little tube bead. And this here is a key too, showing that that string, by the time it gets to over here, it's going to loop back around to one of the first beads you strung. So you're going to end up folding your component in half. And that's a great way of kind of knowing that that's going to happen. And these little shadows are saying you're going through those original beads. As you progress along the instructions, it'll also tell you down at the bottom, like this one here, you just need to make one piece of this. Component B are these two little guys, and you can see them in the picture. So this one here was that center bead. Here is going to be on either side. So it's telling you you're going to need to make two pieces of this. So you're going to follow this exact instruction twice. Over here, if you have an instruction that looks something like this, it's pretty clear. It's showing you've got a head pin in here, where to place your beads on it. And then here is that dotted line showing where this was, but you've actually bent it now. So the solid line is where you bent it. Pretty clearly shows you where to cut it. You've got 8 millimeters of length here. So what you would do is you would take your bead and you can line it up against your centimeters. There's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So if you had, say, your beads on here, I can put it on here really quick so you can see. So I know from my key up here that I need this bead, and I need my big one. I need another little spacer bead, and then I would line it up against the little ruler. I'm actually going backwards here so that we can see clearly on the video, but it's about 12 millimeters right now, so I could just snip it with my flush cutters at the 8 millimeter point, which is about right there. You just snip that off, and then you make a loop. We actually have instructions on the Beadaholique website showing you how to make this little loop if you're not familiar with it. The video is entitled Making Wire Loops Correctly. So once you finish this, you're going to turn over your instructions so you know you're done with this page. And again, you've got the handy key so you don't have to keep flipping your instructions back and forth. It's showing you jump rings, and there's actually a graphic on how to open and close jump rings. And here's a nice graphic too on making that loop if you're not familiar. And then you just keep going. So here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. Just keep following it. And then eventually you'll end up with the finished piece. And thankfully there are little keys as you go showing you how to make certain components. But also check the Beadaholique website if it's some of these basic beading techniques, like how to use these little crimps for the cord ends, how to open and close a jump ring, how to make a wire loop. If you want information like that, we do have videos showing you how to do it if you'd rather not look at the graphic. And those are some keys on how you read the Miyuki Beading Kit instructions. I hope these helped.